Paul, why don't we talk about the first night you got introduced, or the first day, the night and then the following day, that you got introduced into combat, into the line at a place I guess is pronounced Sandy.
Sandy.
Yeah, okay. It's spelled, for Americans, it's spelled Saint Die, which is...
And that's what the troops called it.
Yeah, yeah. Tell what you found the next day when you woke up. Tell what you found and what your reactions were.
I woke up and I'd gone to sleep in a field in this mountain setting, big trees everywhere. And I looked around and I saw a lot of bodies of soldiers. They were German soldiers, maybe they were 15 or 20, and they were young soldiers, as young as my people were. And they were still clutching their rifles or their machine pistols, and their skin was white, and their eyes were open, and so forth. As I said, I think in a book of mine, I'd never seen dead bodies before, except my grandmother's at the funeral home. You know, you have a viewing and so on, and that was fine. But that really woke me up to what this war is about. This war is about killing people, killing young people, most of them, who haven't done anything. I mean, it's based upon utterly unfair premises about human behavior. And I began to catch on at that point. But that didn't change me. I still enjoyed, you know, knocking off groups of German soldiers.
You know, you talk in that particular episode, as I said, I think earlier, the last show, a lot of it's minimalist but powerful. Talk about two German soldiers that looked like they were 14 with their brains oozing out, one through a hole in his head and one through his nose.
That's right, and that was about 3 hours after I had awakened that morning. And these were younger kids than I'd seen spread out on the field. The ones on the field were probably about 15, 16 years old. These kids were about 8 years old. Bizarre. I began to realize, you know, this is going to be a crusade. People who would send kids that young have to be punished.
You also learned, you said, to compress your lips so as not to, you know, hold in the emotion. Understandable.
You had to do something, because looking at those kids dead with their brains coming out of holes in their head and so on, if you were in a normal circumstance, you'd burst into tears. Well, because you're leading a tough military unit, that is unthinkable. You can't do that. So you've got to have a mechanism to conceal any kind of sentiment. And this is what General Patton did. He developed the habit of talking obscenely and profanely all the time, largely because he was so sensitive to the damage that he witnessed, which he had to cause. And there's a fairly common technique.
You still do that?
No.
No,
I do. Over that. Well, I never see so awful sights anymore.
Patton, you're working on a book on Patton now. Okay. Give you a plug as to what's coming out in 2007, I understand.
It'll be available in 2007. I should live so long.
Well, I hope you do. In the 1 minute we have left before we go to break, Paul, tell about Sergeant Engel and, you know, the impact on you when you watched him get hit.
Sergeant Engel, yes. This was an attack by the whole battalion, that is 4 companies of it, at one time on, let's see, it's March 15th, the Ides of March 1945. The war was almost over. We were attacking this woods, and we were met by fusillades of small arms fire the minute we got inside the edge of the woods. And we were all lying down on our stomachs, hoping to make ourselves so small that we wouldn't be hit by any sort of wayward fire. And my head was down on top of some leaves, I think, and I could see horizontally a sergeant of my platoon who decided that he'd had enough of that. So he stood up and he was trying to locate the machine gun, and he was hit by it in the face. And before he even fell down, he spit out a mouthful of teeth and blood and so on, and fell on the floor. I was in touch with him much later, and it was clear what had happened to him. He had gone through years of facial rebuilding to make him look like a person again, after which he decided to become an Episcopal minister, which he did with great success.
Yeah.
And I learned about his success as a minister, which probably wouldn't have taken place if he hadn't been badly hurt. But that was a sad episode. That was the same day that I got hit, in virtually the same place. I was hit by shells from a tank, an 88 millimeter weapon.
Yeah.
It shot the trees above me and sent the fragments downward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when my platoon sergeant was killed, right next to me.
Right.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.